côté, toujours là. Cinéma à cuisine, puis nous du sport. Nous t'égons commencement qu'on y a fait au place. N'est pas quand t'as goûté, for just for TV à finish nous. Tout bel programme, ou anywhere you n'a put it pour. N'est pas quand t'as goûté, for just for TV à finish nous. N'est pas quand t'as goûté, for just for TV à finish nous.
Greetings and welcome to the CHERIZA Report. And as you know, we come all the time and we talk about issues impacting the community. We want to strengthen the community by providing information from the source so that you know exactly what's going on. You hear it from the source and understand the dynamic of everything that is going on. This is election season. There's a lot going on. Campaign all over the place. You can see it riding through Palm Beach County. You'll see the signs. You see campaign workers waving. And one of the major contests of this season is for the sheriff office. And we have one of the candidates with us today on this platform. And we're going to have a conversation with him about his vision for the county. Why should we give him due consideration versus his opponent? We'll talk about what he would do if he gets elected. Michael Gauger is running for sheriff. He's not a newcomer. He understands. He's been there. And we'll talk about all that, his experience with the sheriff department. But first, you had a very interesting primary. Anything that was it surprising to you that it was so close, and was there something that you learned from that race?
I learned something every day. I certainly learned something from that primary race as well.
Okay.
I had an opponent who was accused me of a whole lot of things that weren't true. So, but I guess that's what politics is. I've tried to deal with facts and only facts, but they didn't want to do that. So, and then he had some support that from a union that had already endorsed the Democratic candidate, and they came and endorsed him because they wanted him to beat me, so the other one wouldn't have to face me.
Right. Okay. But was that kind of a wake-up call because your opponent is somebody that you work with, that you call a friend? Was that the wake-up call that campaign is campaign, therefore you don't know what's going to come at you?
No, you don't. And I was surprised that they are doing some of the things that they are.
Okay. So now we look at this race now. The primary is over. We're focusing on the general election, and it seems two major issues are facing you. One is the issue of the health of the current sheriff, and also his spending pattern. Yes. Let's look at the health. He's 76. You're also 76. Right?
Well, I just turned 77. I am 6 months older than my opponent. 6 months.
Okay. So why is health such a critical issue at this point?
Well, I think it's kind of obvious that when you look at the two of us, he appears much older than I am. And it's sad because he has had some very serious medical problems that developed about 7 years ago. And it has just degraded his health over the last years. And he doesn't have the energy. He doesn't have the ability to be there all the time. He's under such medical care and I'm not. I get up every morning, 5 days a week. I'm in the gym. I get up at 4. I'm in the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right. That was the question I was going to ask you. How's your health, since you raised this about him?
And the interesting thing is they're using photographs of him and me from 7 years ago. I use photographs of us today. And I have lost 50-some pounds because I started going to the gym, and after I retired, I got back in good health.
Right.
And I was a little overweight, and but I'm not now, and And I'm in full health, and the sad thing is he is not, and I feel bad about that for him.
What is your greatest fear when it comes to his health if he were to get elected?
If he gets elected again, I don't think he's going to last. The rumors are, and the talk is that he wants to get in so they can turn it over to somebody else, one of his friends.
Okay. And do you have an idea who that may be? No?
Yeah, somebody who's been telling everybody he wants to be the sheriff.
Okay. Okay.
So
now, you also raised the issue of the spending pattern.
yes.
What is the concern that you have about the way that he spent? This is an agency with about $1 billion.
It's just under $1
budget.
billion. Yes.
Yeah, just under $1 billion. So, what are your concerns related to spending?
Well, there's a lot of concerns there, and first of all, when the headquarters division on Gun Club Road, where the jail is, it is full of mold, and the county had to come in and close the building, and they should have tore it down, but what they decided to do is they thought they could fix it. It was built in 1980, too small, and they've had to rebuild it 3 times to make it bigger, and it's leaked like a sieve, and it was full of mold. People were getting sick at work. So instead of putting a double wide out in front of those offices and working out of that, he went up and rented office space, a whole floor on Class A office space, spent $400-some thousand building the floor out, and then rent that started out about $44,000, now it's up to about $55,000 for 11 people. Plus he spent $150,000 on all new furniture, and then he bought gym equipment for his own office, all on taxpayers' money. And I had to put a double wide out. So we have different opinions on how we should spend. My money, I think, should go to community programs and setting up programs and making sure my employees had the right cars and the things. But
what are some of the programs that that you would invest in?
Well, I've already invested in my career. I brought community policing to the sheriff's office in the late 80s, early 90s under Sheriff Willie. And those are programs. We went into the worst neighborhood. It was, according to the Palm Beach Post, the leading crack cocaine distribution spot in the county. It was called Dyson Circle. It was a housing project. We went in there, we cleaned it up, we got rid of the drug dealing. And the sad thing is what I saw is the drug dealers were using young kids to do their bidding. What chance did those kids have? None. I mean, they got them into a life of crime. We went in there, got rid of the drug dealers, we brought in after school tutoring programs, I got a playground built, I got counseling. So we did those kind of things. We turned that neighborhood around, and then we went to 27 other neighborhoods and did the same thing. That's what I want to bring back.
And how important you think those community programs are to, how vital are they to the primary purpose of the sheriff to police the county? How important?
Well, the important thing is we reduce crime 80-90%. 80 to 90% of those neighborhoods. And they were poor neighborhoods. The other thing I was able to do is I got the first neighborhood park built. I had to fight to get that because Parks and Recreation from the county thought it would not be a good thing. We got that first park built, and I had to fight before the commission. We got that first park built. It was so successful. We now have 30 neighborhood parks in the neighborhoods that need it the most.
Right.
And that's what helps keep kids busy, because kids don't have something positive to do.
Right.
They find something negative.
So you're not new to the sheriff office. You worked there for, if I'm not mistaken, about 50 years.
Yeah,
But,
5 decades.
Yeah, 5 decades, and then the last few years you were as deputy
Chief
sheriff,
deputy.
Chief deputy
Yes.
sheriff. How do you, when you look at the staff there, how do you think staff feel about somebody who served there for 6 years, for 6 terms, and is running for another? Well, he's running for his 6th term.
Yes.
what's the dynamic there? Because you probably have people there that you're in contact
Of course.
with. What's the dynamic there?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. The union, the Police Benevolent Association, is supporting Bradshaw. But then they're like this.
Right.
So they have too much, and according to the Palm Beach Post and the Sun Sentinel, they've even talked about that because they endorse me. They said the union has too much power controlling what happens because, when they control discipline, promotions, and transfers, that's not right.
Right.
Administration, a strong sheriff, should be overseeing that stuff. You work with the unions, but you don't let the unions control.
So how would that relationship between you and that union be if you were to be elected?
Well, I think they're concerned that if I get in, there would be another union that would come in, and so that's one of, I think, their concerns. But they would lose. I'll still work with them. In fact, ironically, I have a beautiful plaque from that union. Back when I retired in 2004, they gave me a plaque extolling all the work that I had done because I brought it to the sheriff's office in the 70s. We had no overtime. We had no job protection. Our salaries were terrible. And I worked for those benefits over the years.
And this is because one of the things that is striking to so many is that you were the chief deputy, so the number 2.
Yes.
And he seems to Sheriff Bradshaw seems to suggest that you were not really the second
Yes.
command.
Yes.
How do you read that type of reaction? Why would he say that?
Well, because I'm running against him. But if you go to my website, you will see that there is a video on there of him when I retired in February of 21, extolling my virtues and then even presenting me with a Legion of Merit award that they don't give to everybody. Very few people get that. And he said I was invaluable to him.
What do you think that his fears are related to you becoming sheriff? Beyond just, okay, he's my opponent, because you guys were friends, you helped him at the beginning.
I did.
What if we were to talk to him, what would be his main criticism, and how do you respond to him?
Well, he says I wasn't his number 2, but I instead of me saying anything, I let him use his own words, and I put that on my video, and he explains it himself that what he's doing now is not true. So, I think he's concerned that the way he spent money, because I will bring in a forensic audit, I will bring in an inspector general. He has not done that. I will have an inspector general that will help me have oversight over all spending and accountability, that we are doing the right things. And we will work with the county inspector general, which he has never done. So that's the kind of stuff that I will do.
So now there was some issue raised also with, we just had a major incident where the former president was here and there was an attempt on his life. What would you have done differently?
Oh, a lot. And I prepared a press release the next day. In my career, I have protected and been part of protecting 6 different presidents. I was a tactical sergeant assigned to different. I have my picture with a couple of different presidents that I protected. That man was on that property for over 12 hours. Things that occurred even before that are being hidden and not released to the public, because they said, well, it's still under investigation. And that's what he does. If he doesn't want it to be released, he's not being transparent.
Okay.
So
when he said that, well, we really were not responsible for that, it was the Secret Service, you don't buy that argument?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, some of those Secret Service agents are not that familiar with our area. So I know that area so well because I helped Donald Trump when he had Ladies Professional Golf Association tournaments there. I was in charge of the security for the sheriff's office, and I know I played that course probably eight or nine times at least, and so I know that course. We should have had drone. We had this big drone unit. They could have did the perimeter, and they would have saw him. If we would have walked our dog, we have over 50 canine dogs. We could have walked those dogs along that perimeter because he was there for 12 hours. That dog would have alerted on him immediately. You know, when we work with the Secret Service, it's called team. And team, if you break those letters down, it means together everyone achieves more. You know what? We all have information about what needs to be done and corrected. In fact, Sheriff Bradshaw, when they had the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, got on TV and said, "Oh, that would never happen here." Well, it almost did. And it wasn't for that one Secret Service agency that saw the gun barrel sticking out of the fence. Things might have been different. So this guy was supposed to be put on Homeland Security information. We're told now, and I haven't had it confirmed, but we've had deputies talk to that guy. He'd been here for 30 days, wandering around. He was on the sheriff's office property, I'm told. He was over by Mar-a-Lago at the president's home walking around. We should have been on top of him. There was a nurse from the Ukraine who ran into him there and reported him to Homeland Security. Why wasn't he on our radar?
Yeah.
The sheriff brags about, I'm the director of Homeland Security for South Florida. Well, why didn't we know?
Right. Now, the fact that you were there for so long also puts you in a situation where there are some question that may be raised about the way you handle certain things, and there have been question about the Epstein case.
Yes.
What would you say in response to that? Were you when you go back, do you have something that you would do differently? What happened?
Oh, absolutely. And I can talk about Epstein.
Okay.
You know, Epstein we got a phone call from the courts and said, we're bringing Epstein to the jail for 18 months for 2 felonies. No, he's supposed to go to prison, state prison, not to a county jail.
Right.
But they worked a plea out. So they brought him over, and he had a plea agreement. And they handed it to us, and it said he will have the benefits and privileges of all county inmates. Well, what we discovered is that our policy said if you had 3 prostitution-related arrests, you were ineligible for work release. They pled him to 2. Now, what does that mean? That means he was eligible when he walked in. And that's what his lawyers said. His lawyers said, look, we want work release immediately. And we denied him for 3.5 months. I get a phone call. Bradshaw calls me to his office, and he says, our lawyers say we have to give him work release, give him work release. So I discussed, well, I thought we weren't going to do this. And he said, yes, give him work release. So I said, okay, we're going to give it the hardest and most difficult way we can. He's got to wear an ankle monitor with GPS so we can track him wherever he is. He can have no visitors other than his lawyers and his business partner. And he's got to hire off-duty deputies and pay their salaries. What more could I do? Right. I think our lawyers said that we were going to lose if they sued us, and we would owe $1 million or more in legal fees, because he has like 20, 30 lawyers working for him.
So everything was set for you to just, would you say you took the fall, or you just follow instruction?
He's the boss.
Yeah.
I did what I was supposed to do by his orders.
Okay.
But they're blaming me now for what he did. It was like the payout that when I retired, and there was Sheriff Bradshaw designed something in 2010 for his top administration staff. You cannot give bonuses to public employees. He got his lawyers to say, well, we'll take vacation time and put it in there. in their package.
Okay.
So when they retire, they can turn in their vacation time. That's wrong.
Yeah, and again, they say that you're highly critical of it, but you also benefited from that.
Yes, but I questioned it.
Right.
And I called the chief financial officer and I said, George, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me check. And then he called me, oh no, that's that contract that the sheriff gave you back years ago.
Mm.
Well, I never looked at it because I didn't care about it, because our deal is that I was going to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And
so is that one of the things that you would change?
oh, immediately, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been contacted by people who are in administration because they're thinking of retiring before I come in. So because then they won't get that bonus.
So you may have a lot of people who are uncomfortable with
Yes.
that stance that you're taking.
Yes.
Because that they would stand to make a lot of money.
Oh,
Yeah.
one guy I'm told walked out with $1.2 million.
Okay. So now you talk about the budget that you want to change. You talk about, and it seems to me that you're talking even about the culture there. There are certain decisions that he's able to make, and after all that time, he has a lot of connection. You've been there for a long time. He raised a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And you raised some money, but not as much as he raised. And you are running as a Republican. Do you think that the support that you're getting right now, is it based on? Do you think there are people who are afraid of supporting you because of the power that he holds right now?
Of course,
and
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, and businesses that that he does business with have given him
Mm-hmm.
tens and tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
You can only give so much to your campaign, up to
Right.
$1,000.
Yeah.
But when they take every one of their employees and they each give you $1,000,
Yeah.
some of the $20,000, $30,000 he's getting in his campaign from all their employees.
Right.
Now, there's always question as how that happens.
Yeah.
do the working people really give that $1,000, or is it
Mhm.
provided by the boss so that they can provide it? So, and there's people on the job that are working at the sheriff's office that want to support me,
Mhm.
but they're afraid because
Mhm.
there's always been retribution already,
Okay.
and people called into the office.
Okay. Do you think now that because when you had the primary, some people maybe they were supporting you, some people were probably supporting DS. Do you think that the primary opponents that you had, some of his supporters would come and back you up for the?
Well, I think some of his supporters will. The one primary opponent met with the political consultant
Mhm.
and the sheriff,
Mhm.
and he's now supported the sheriff.
Okay.
And then the Democratic opponent that sheriff had
Mhm.
talked to me right after the election, said, I'm going to support you.
Mhm.
But then he had a meeting with the political consultant and then the sheriff, and then came back later and said, I'm supporting the sheriff now.
Mm.
But these are two guys who the Democratic has run 3 times against the sheriff,
Right.
and accused him of all kinds of things,
Mhm.
as did the Republican opponent.
Mm.
But the Republican opponent also criticized very hard
Mhm.
against the sheriff, but now he's supporting him. So what does that tell you about the honesty and integrity of those endorsements?
What do you think? Because you are endorsed by the 2 major newspapers, and you have support of one of the police
Yes.
unions, and but you raised about 200,000. Right?
280, I think, yeah.
280,000. He's closer to
A million.
A million.
Yes.
Okay. And now it's crunch time. You have to be out there. In fact, we're interviewing you in the middle of you being out there campaigning.
Yes.
You stop your campaign activities to talk to us, and we appreciate that. But in the last few days that we have, what do you think you have to do? Because you seem to, it seems like a win would be like an upset.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning for an upset?
Yes.
And what are some of the things that you need to do?
Well, there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
He gets that money because he has the rich people behind him.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been into the community. He's never been to a Haitian church. He's never been out into the community. He didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy in my whole career who has been in the community representing all neighborhoods, all people. That's how we're different. If you want somebody who's going to be in your community that you're going to see that has an open door and responds to your phone calls, I'm the guy.
And what do you say? Because it seems like the establishment is lining up to support him. You do have some grassroots Democrats who may not be comfortable with the fact that he's the candidate of the party. How do you talk to those people who may not share your political affiliation, but feel that I don't know that I can trust this guy. I don't know that I'm willing to give him another term.
Well, there's so many Democrats that have approached me already and say, I had somebody earlier today when I was waving there. I've known him for years, and he himself was a Democratic politician, and he came to me and he said, "We voted for you." His wife said, "You're the first Republican that I have ever voted for," because they know me, and it's like the newspapers has endorsed me. They have written about me for over the last 50 years and cases and things that I have done in the communities. I'm the community guy. I truly care. I have a master's in social work. I've helped people. If you go to my website, there's videos on there of people that I've helped get straight and sober, that I have arrested many, many times.
Right.
But now they're straight and sober for 20 years, and one guy for 33 years. That's what I do. The programs like the Eagle Academy that turn young lives around. Things that we did in the neighborhood with the tutoring, with the volunteers. Those are the people that are supporting me. And he may have a lot of money, and he may have some of the big time establishment, but I'm looking for the community to step forward and help me like I've worked and helped them all these years.
Are you confident you can pull this off, and when comes November?
Yes, we're going to pull it off.
Okay,
we're going to pull it off.
Now I'll go back to that friendship. What was it that caused you to decide it's time for me to leave, but then now you say I want this job?
Well, because he wasn't doing the right things. And that's when I went into his office and I said, "Rick, I can't do this with you anymore. Things are not the same here. You're not the same." When I tried to explain some things that were happening that he needed to be aware of, he looked at me and he said, "You shouldn't listen to those people." And I said, "Rick," I said, "you should listen to those people." I thought my job was to watch your back. And he was kind of angry and I got my back. And so when you're dealing with, and particularly one of those guys, is some information is going to come out of him that's going to be unbelievable. I couldn't believe it myself when I started to investigate it. But those are the people that he got involved with. And when you don't have respect for them,
Right.
and they're doing things that are so against what I believe is good for the community, then it's time. I walked out. I walked away from $232,000 a year.
Okay. And I'm going back to the health issue. We're running out of time, but I need to ask that question. On your flyer, you have something that says he suffered from LVAD. I mean, that he's using an LVAD to stay alive. Maximum life expectancy with it is 5.5, and he's had it for 3 years. Now they put out a press release that says he's fine, even though they didn't really address the concern that you raised, but they say that he's fine. You don't trust the press release they put out?
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. When he had the surgery, when he was in the hospital for 2.5 months, and on a respirator for a long time, his media person put out, oh, he had elective surgery. Elective surgery?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, but when he passed out at Publix, and the fire rescue responded and said they performed life-saving measures. In an interview on television, he said, oh, I don't know what that means. I'm fine. I actually walked out of there. But they took him to the hospital. He was in the hospital for at least 3, maybe 4 days.
Okay. And now, in closing, I'd love for you to address, especially this elector who may be undecided, who may like the things that you say and wonder, do you have what it takes to win? Address your concern.
Okay. Well, I think if you go to my website and you look at all that I have done in the communities, all the awards, not only from police work, for my investigations, for cleaning up neighborhoods, for building parks, for working with the county, building relationships with everyone that makes a difference. And you look at what he's done, there'll be no comparison. If you want somebody that's going to represent you in the community, if you want somebody that's going to have an open door, and he's going to get people working again, and he's going to get that budget under control, you know what? When you own a home and that property tax keeps going up, it's because of the terrible spending that we're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. So it's going right on in this county. The money is being spent foolishly. We need to get a handle on that. I need to get recovery programs back. I need to do the mental health programs. I have a master's in social work. I'm the only guy who's been to the Corrections Academy, and we have a jail that we have to run. I'm the guy with the experience from the jail. Nobody, Sheriff Bradshaw doesn't have that, and neither did any of the other sheriff's candidates have that.
Okay.
I did.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking some time. You were out there on the field campaigning, but took the time to come and talk to us. We appreciate it. We'll be watching and reporting back as to how the campaign is doing. There's a lot to be that we need to look forward to on November the 5th. We'll be here. We'll watch and we'll report to you. This is Dr. Ralph CHERIZA. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. And I will be back.
You
I will
be
come back after I win.
Good. We hope so. All right.